And welcome to episode 180 of The Joy of Coding. 180! That's the sort of thing that people shout whenever they're playing darts. Hi, how are you? It's been a little while. I've been away for a couple of weeks. And before that, there was an episode. And before that, I was away for a couple of weeks. And so I think, looking at my calendar, I don't have any more travel coming up. So maybe we can get some consistent episodes. But yeah, I was away and now I'm back, and let's get into things. Good to have you here. There's much going on my desktop, but right now I'd like to start with the agenda. Today is June 26th, episode 180. And a reminder, no plan survives breakfast. I don't know how the stream's going to go. It might go horribly wrong. I barely have a plan for today. I have some things I'd like to work on, but whether or not they succeed, if they go well, maybe I'll get stuck. Maybe we'll smash things out of the park. Who knows? None of this is scripted, and I'm just doing my best here. I'm trying to capture software development in the raw as I perform it, and for better or worse, warts and all. Okay, the other thing I want to talk about is this agenda that we're looking at. You have access to it, and that's handy because there are links and stuff that you might want to click on. There's some really great links and referrals in here. And as I update, as the episode proceeds, I might add things to the episode guide agenda, to the agenda as the episode proceeds. If a handy link sort of presents itself, I might drop it in here. And so you might want to check that out. If you are watching this on Air Mozilla, check out the handout section over here. And if you're watching this on YouTube, there's a link to the agenda down below. And if you're watching this on Twitch, then allow me to paste this into the Twitch chat right now. Done. Okay, so that's the agenda. There's also a link in here to a form that allows you to rate the episode, give me feedback, let me know what you thought, what I can do better, what you'd like to see more of, what I can do to essentially make the series useful to you. So send me your feedback. I'll remind you again, hopefully, before the end of the episode. Speaking of episode, there's also an episode guide. This episode guide is brought to you by mostly one contributor named Smurf D. So this is completely viewer-driven. It's and these episode guides basically give you a sense of what each episode covered. For example, in episode 178, this was one of the bugs we were looking at. We were trying to understand a test failure and how to flip the switch to see the new about add-ons page. And there's a green 404 error pig. Yeah, I guess it's a pig. I'm not sure. And I was using LLDB and Zool window closing. I believe, actually, that there is a episode guide update pull request just waiting for me. So let's take a look at that now. Maybe we can merge it in. Yeah, as per usual, SmurfD, very reliable, has the link for episode 179. Let's take a look. Wait, there's a comment in there. New episode. You might be able to start adding links to the profile page if you want using that. Oh, that's interesting. So apparently on Twitch, I can add like a profile page, and maybe I can put things like an agenda link there. Who knows? But for now, let's take a look at the changes. So he's got a link to the episode on Air Mozilla. Let me just double check that link is correct. Episode 179. That's correct. And the agenda, let's make sure that link's correct, because sometimes these things get a little confused. Episode 179. Perfect. And here are the topics I covered. Wow, lots of stuff here. There was some mercurial gunk, mercurial mojo, as SmurfD refers to it, and prompter, and Ocris was in there making some suggestions. And then we were talking a little bit about IRC and matrix. Yeah, okay, so let's merge that in. That sort of matches my memory of what episode 179 was all about. So I will confirm the merge, and like that, and I'm going to say thanks. Always thank your contributor. And like that, we should hopefully have an up-to-date episode guide. So I'm just going to reload this, see if we've got episode 179. Not yet, but soon episode 179 will be listed here at the bottom. So thank you, SmurfD. And that's for you folks who are interested in reading more about the episode guide, or maybe you want to contribute to the episode guide, because SmurfD is just volunteering his time. It's great. I really appreciate it. But maybe there are some other people out there who want to help him out. who want to add more things. Maybe you just watched episode 105 and you have your own ideas on things you'd like to add in terms of notes or background information, addenda, corrections, that sort of thing. If that's interesting, please send me a pull request just like SmurfD did. And if you're not sure what I mean by that, there are guides in here in the agenda on how to do that. Okay, we're 6 minutes in. 6 minutes of preamble's enough. Let's get down to business. What do I want to do today? Well, first of all, I'm stalling a little bit because I've got a build going in the background, and I'd like that to finish. But in the meantime, we might be actually able to do some other stuff using an artifact build. Let me pump up the font a little so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm gonna do this trick now where I have like an opt build in the background, and I'm also gonna build an artifact build in the foreground. The reason I want to do that is I want to debug something, or I want to investigate something related to. Did I already do mock build with artifact? Okay, mock build. I want to debug. So I'm doing this review. One of our interns, his name's Abdullah. Hello, Abdullah, if you're watching this. He has a patch to port the date time picker so that it is fission compatible. And if you're not sure what fission is, I've talked about it briefly before. But effectively, fission is the project to make subframes work in separate processes. Kind of like E10S, but even more so. And so as part of that, we're porting a bunch of stuff so that it is fission compatible. And that is what that's what Abdullah has here, a patch to make the date time picker fission compatible. And the problem, or one of the mysteries that he noticed, or that we picked up when reviewing his patch, is that he has to change basically how we attach to things like the date time picker widgets in content, or video elements, or audio elements. Basically, anytime that the browser wants to attach UI or some kind of special behavior onto elements in the page, we use what are called the UA widgets. So for example, video controls are a UA widget. Audio controls, share actually the same controls as video, and they use the UA widget for that. And the way that works is anytime one of these elements is inserted into the document, they fire this event, UA widget setup or change. Now it's what's called a Chrome privileged event. Chrome not for the browser, but Chrome meaning UI effectively. So we fire this like privileged event that web content can't see, but privileged JavaScript can see, and we capture it, and then there's some code that says, oh, this is a video element, or this is an audio element, or this is a datetime picker element, and I'm going to like attach the special behaviors, the binding effectively, the UA widget onto that node. Okay, so that's a whole lot of context, but what was interesting was that he had to update this test, this picture-in-picture test, so that the UA widget setup or change event was only heard in the capture phase and not in the bubble phase. What's interesting is that UA widget setup or change, looking at how it's handled inside, where is it? UA widget's child. We pass, like we do the setup here, like here's where we handle that event inside this lazy actor child, and then after we do all the setup, we stop the propagation. So UA widget setup or change should have never propagated effectively. Like it shouldn't have reached the top level of the browser ever. It's supposed to like stop propagating. It's not supposed to bubble back up. So how come we heard about it during the bubbling phase? That's what I want to know. So I want to see whether or not this test is actually behaving correctly, because in the way that Abdullah is changing the datetime picker, he's also made it so all of the UA widgets are attached using the new like window actors, JS window actors, which we need for fission compatibility, and that's where we notice this like weird inconsistency. So His patch looks fine. I'm going to give him an approval today, and hopefully we can land this. But, excuse me, I want to find out what's actually going on here because I wrote this test, the browser show message test, and I want to make sure I understand what's happening. So my artifact build is done. And my artifact build here does not have Abdullah's patch. It's in the old state, the state where the test would pass, but but for reasons that on reflection are a bit strange. So let's make sure that the test still passes. Picture-in-picture test browser. Show message is the name of the test. So let's run that. And yeah, so this is very mysterious. The event is no longer supposed to propagate. Like anytime the UA widget, the UA widget event fires, the actor child should capture it and stop it from propagating. So what's going on? So the test is passing unexpectedly. Now before I go into this, I do want to check one thing. Whenever he catches UA widget, when he registers the actor, yeah, he's not capturing it. He's not capturing it, so it's on bubble by default. Interesting. Okay, so my question is, I'm gonna open up UA widget child actor, and I'm going to log when we stop propagation. Stopping propagation of UA widget setup or change. UA widgets child is handling UA widget setup or change. Okay. And then over in browser show message, my computer's a little slow because I'm doing that full build in the background. This one, we actually don't expect this to actually get hit. Search showing message. Right, when we close the picture-in-picture window, which is here, we expect the UA widget setup or change event to fire because then we stop displaying the picture-in-picture message in the content area in the original video. Okay. So I'm going to simplify things by only running this with the controls case. Don't run it twice needlessly. And part of this. Was this ever fixed? Add a toggle to trigger picture video element. No controls case until we figure out there's a UI widget for the no controls case on desktop. I guess I can also remove that as part of this, like, or not as part of this, but I guess this can start being removed. Like, I could probably do that now. This should pass whenever we do the no with controls and no controls. Actually, out of curiosity, let's just run this because, like, that sounds like we could add some test coverage for a section, effectively for free. That'll be nice. Hello, viewers. For the people who are watching, it's good to have you back. It's good to be back. It's good to be back. I hope you're having a good season. It's getting hot here in Toronto, and I biked in today, and it was hot. Ooh, that test failed. So maybe we can't just get it for free. So maybe that comment is wrong. At any rate, let's not get distracted. The question is, how come we are getting this UA widget setup or change? So I'm going to add some more logging here. I'm going to say waiting for UA widget setup or change in parent process. Dump got UA widget setup or change in parent process. Okay, and then there's the other part of this, which is the browser test utils part, where the actual wait for content event thing is happening. So browser test utils, wait for content event, add event listener. Okay, adding event listener for event name, and then running browser test utils event handler for event.type. Okay, let's build all that, and then we'll run our test. It's kind of nice that I can still do front-endy things while I'm waiting for my full build to complete. Artifact builds are the best because it finished really quickly. I think I was able to get my artifact build up and running in less than 5 minutes, and that's with a pretty fresh pull. Thankfully, the bandwidth, my network connection is pretty good. So now we are going to run the test. Okay. What happened? Adding event listener for the UA widget separate change, waiting for it in the parent process. Oh, the telemetry stuff I have added in a different patch. I should comment that out. That's probably making things a lot worse. Picture in picture. Where is that? Telemetry stopwatch. I need to comment this out. And this out. Let's build that again. Actually, I don't actually think I need to build every time. I think due to sim linking magic, I can just kind of just run again and those changes come in. It's weird because sometimes it's inconsistent. Sometimes I have to run mock build faster. Sometimes I don't, and I think it really depends on the platform. On Windows, I don't think we get sim links, so you have to build every time or build faster every time. But on Mac OS and Linux, sometimes you get the sim links. There are some directories where I don't think the sim linking works properly. And it's really kind of inconsistent. So that's why I'm all paranoid. There's an elephant upstairs. Someone walking around. All right, let's run this test. We're going to understand what's going on here, and then we can explain to Abdullah what was happening. Mamma mia! Speaking of Zelda, I don't know if anyone here is a video gamer, but a friend of mine was telling me about this cool game that so he's a big fan of Crypta the Necrodancer, which if you're watching this on Twitch, maybe you know my friend Elad Difficult, who is a streamer on Twitch, and he does all the Condor League racing for Crypt of the Necrodancer. It's like a racing league, and Crypt of the Necrodancer is like this procedurally generated. It's like a roguelike, but it's a rhythm. It's like half roguelike, half rhythm game. And anyway, they just released a new version that has like Zelda assets, which is pretty neat. Like officially licensed from Nintendo. Okay, picture-in-picture, blah, blah, blah. Adding event listener, waiting for the event in the parent process. It's being handled in the child process, stopping the propagation, running browser test utils, event handler. What? Where's browser test utils? So even though we stopped propagation, it fires here. What's the target at this point? At target event dot target dot tag name. Let's just double check what stop propagation does. Stop and prop and roll. Stop propagation event. Prevents further propagation of the current event in the capturing and bubbling phases. So was event current target. Post the event target. Right, so what's the event for target at current target event at target current target. Let's see what that gives us. Graphics, what is going on? Compiling graphics, what's the deal today? Okay. Video at current target undefined. Target video. Current target is undefined. What? Stop, what was it? Stop immediate propagation. What's that? Immediate propagation. Because I know about that one as well. I think I spelled that wrong. Prevents other listeners of the same event from being called. So presumably, if I did stop immediate propagation, then this would fail. Let's double check. Or not fail, this will time out because we're going to wait for that event that'll never come.
That's right.
We'll see.
Here we go.
Any folks here watching in a place where it's starting to snow? Because it's getting warm here, and believe it or not, I'm kind of missing the cold. Even though it's nice to have summer and plants and stuff, I do like the winter time too. Okay, good. So it just hangs out. So it's a matter of the difference between stop immediate propagation and stop propagation. What is the real difference? Stop immediate propagation. I want a discussion on the difference. Here's some Stack Overflow. Stop propagation will prevent any parent handlers from being executed, will prevent any parent handlers and also any other handlers. Any other handlers. In this example, propagation. I don't understand how this is supposed to work. Oh, I see. And then button, click, get. Okay, so this will change between the two different states of whether or not we're going to stop propagate or stop immediate propagation. And then when you click on the child, we'll either stop propagation or stop immediate propagation. Fire event handler, fire second event handler. First event handler on child, second event handler on child, event handler on div child, event handler on div parent. And then, okay, that's great. Let's do that again. This time we're going to stop propagation. First event handler on child, second event handler on child, event handler on div. Event handler on div, interesting. Oh, on event handler on div child, right. First event handler on div child. Right, because they just added an event handler on the div. So this is like old school jQuery stuff. Okay, let's stop immediate propagation. First event handler on child, and then everything stops. Okay. So why before, like, it doesn't make sense to me. Propagation, browser show message. So we, in browser test utils, I have too many of these things open. Close these things. Let's close. Don't save. I'm gonna close all of these things. Browser test utils. Don't save. Okay. Here, we're adding an event listener, and on this, in this case, is running inside a frame script. So this is the frame global, the privileged outer window, I think. An event current target. There's no tag name, but maybe the tag name's undefined, but can we get the current target? Can we also do something that's like Content. Add listener. Event listener. Event name. Event listener. Dump. Test utils event handler for target at content. Let's run that. How's our build going? Coming up on 103 minutes. That's crazy. So I guess it's been a long time since I built, so my cache is probably way out of date. That makes sense. It's like the first time I've built since, like, I didn't build during the most of the time I was away. Adding event listener, stopping propagation, running video at content frame message manager. That's interesting. So even if we stop the propagation of the event, it's still heard at the content frame message manager. All right. So I'm willing to message. So I dug into this a bit today. What's interesting is that UA widget child, widgets child is using stop propagation upon handling the UA widget setup or change event. And so we'd expect that we had always needed to use capture here, since we don't expect to hear UA widget setup or change in the bubbling phase. Ultimately, however, this doesn't appear to necessarily be true when the event listener happens to be attached to a content frame message manager, like the browser test utils wait for content event listener is. Interestingly, it seems as if events that are dispatched and stop propagated even in privileged JS still end up reaching content frame message manager. They don't reach the reaching the content frame message manager of the tab top frame via bubbling. They don't reach the this dot content window, which I found interesting. I'm willing to write this off as strange message manager event behavior. Ultimately, I think we should always have been using capture here. And the weird behavior meant that we didn't have to. So thanks for taking care of this. Okay. So that's my analysis. It's not very thorough. I didn't figure out why, but it's enough to know that there is this weird inconsistency and that the message manager is ultimately going away anyways. I suppose I could, like, if event dot type equals UI widget setup or change, I could, like, do that. No, I'm not gonna bother trying to do. I'm not gonna bother trying to get like a backtrace and figure out what's actually dispatching the message. I don't really care. Although I think I am going to reach out to Smog, and see what he thinks, just so that I fully understand Smog. So I'm not going to block Obdelay though. I've already reviewed this, so I'm going to give this an approval now. So I'm not blocking him, but maybe it is important that I figure out what's happening here. Content frame message manager. When do we dispatch events to you? Tab event target. It's an event target helper. Best way of doing this. The best way of doing this is to probably take advantage of RR. Oh man, I gotta update this stuff. Alright, how old is this? Stack prefs from June 5th. Okay, earlier this month, but it should still have the bug. Build with debug. Let's see how long it takes to do a debug build. And then, meanwhile, over here, I'm going to work on something else while that builds. So the other thing I want to work on is I'm adding telemetry for picture-in-picture. You saw a little bit of that in the stuff I commented out. So I'm actually going to put that back now because the stuff that was causing the error was because I actually needed to do a binary build in order for the histograms to be registered properly. And now that my binary build is done, I want to make sure that the probe actually works. So the way the probe is supposed to work is it's supposed to measure via a histogram how long the picture-in-picture windows have been opened. So let's just open a picture-in-picture window here. I don't care. I don't care. Oh, do I have picture-in-picture enabled? I don't. Enable it. Alright, and then I have to open up a new content process. Here it is. So I'm opened it. I'm gonna mute it. Don't need the sound. So it's been open for about 5-6 seconds, about the length of this trailer, 14, 15, so a bit longer than 5 or 6 seconds. We're gonna let that stay open, and I'm gonna shut it. So it's open for less than 20 seconds. Let's take a look at about telemetry and see if there's an entry now in the histograms for picture-in-picture. Yay, yeah, there it is. Let's do another one. That was a shorter one. Yep. Let's do one for a really long time. Let's have that open, and then let's open another video in picture-in-picture and see what happens. Oh, this video is too short, but I can do it like that. Weird, we are firing a lot as UA widget setup or change. Why? Anyways, yeah, I've got 3 there. Then I close this one. I should have 4. Okay, so that that probe appears to be working. What is going on? Why are we firing all these UA widget setup or changes? Interesting. Okay, I have to know. I have to know. So this is process 65586. We're going to attach to it. Let's pump up the font a little bit. Pump up the jam. Pump it up. Pump the jam. All right, and we're going to break on JS math sign. That's the old trick, that old chestnut. And there, I've hit it. Why? Because of a JS context. I don't have any more than that. That's not helpful. Handle event, handle actor event, prototype load. UA widgets child, cross-platform wrapper. Yeah, that's awful. What is going on here? Okay, detach, that's not helpful. UA widget setup or change. Why would... So for video elements, HTML video element, UA widget setup or change. Actually, that's probably what I should have attached to. 65586. HTML video element, notify UA widget setup or change. I think it's Mozilla DOM. It's not DOM. Is it Mozilla video element.html? DOM. It is DOM. HTML video element. Maybe it was called notify UA widget setup or change. Notify UA widget setup or change. Maybe it's HTML media element, the parent class. Notify UA widget setup or change. What is it? It's on element itself. Mozilla DOM element. Okay. Notify UA widget setup or change, and the reason is because we're binding dump JS stack. It's because we're inserting a node into the tree. Give me the JS stack. This player thing. This thing, line 257.32. What is that? Oh my god. Line 257. Append child. So it actually is appending a child. So that's the problem, is that like a node is being inserted here. UA widget from a media element is being inserted repeatedly. Interesting. All right. Well, that's fascinating. I don't know why that player's doing that. Does YouTube do that? Doesn't look like it. Just that one. Ugh. Joe Rogan. I'm not interested. Peanut Butter Falcon. What's going on here? The Boys. Amazon trailer. Strongest soda. Wow, I'm getting distracted. Okay, so luckily the good news is that the telemetry to measure how much time is being spent with a picture-in-picture window open, that telemetry appears to work. All this stuff in here, I think that's all of this experimental stuff that was not meant to shelve. It's not meant to go anywhere. What other telemetry did we want to add? It was like a scalar for let me pull up the document. There was a document. Right. How are users accessing picture-in-picture? Scalar keyed by access method. Okay, that's what we're going to do. A scalar, we're going to add a scalar probe. Oh, we can revert this for now. We're going to revert that, and we're going to So here's our first probe. Where is it? Need a new bug. Note. Here it is. Add telemetry probes. Okay. So we also need the bug number and the link and all that. So that's going to go in here. And then a link to this note is going to go in the agenda. Nope. This one. Bug 1560590. Add telemetry probes to picture and picture to measure usage. Usage. Okay. Actually, it's like that for notes. So if you reload, the agenda in just a second, you'll be able to access these things because I've just put them in. So I've saved. Go ahead and refresh the agenda. Click, click, click. Just double check that sync. All right, so so we've got our first probe. Let's write them down. Add histogram probe to measure how long a pip window is open. That's done. We're going to add a scalar to see which mechanism users tend to use to enter pip. I wanted to know whether or not add event telemetry to see if users need to resize or move the pip window after opening. Perhaps give each window a unique ID to differentiate and then add a scalar to see which mechanism users tend to use to close pip. Okay, so I think we could probably take care of these two today. This one might be a little trickier, so I'm actually going to reorder these. We're going to do them in that order. We're going to add, we're going to do them in separate commits. Bug such and such. Add a telemetry probe to measure how long the picture and picture window is kept open for. That's one. I don't think I need that anymore. Meanwhile, how's our Linux build going? Oh, it's not going very well. I need a new bind gen, or let's see here. Cargo install cbind gen. Get a new bind gen. Gotta build that up. Okay. So the next thing I need to do is I need to add a scalar. And the way that that works is there's this file called scalars.yaml. Browser engagement, navigation, browser usage, graphite. The following section contain browser usage, number of graphite 2 fonts, number of plugin instances, browser engagement, engagement scalars, and account URI loads. Storage sync services, security, preferences. Tools. Telemetry, graphics, form autofill. Browser.timings, memory, updater. Search, script. I feel like browser UI makes sense. Browser usage. Dot engagement, navigation, usage, timings, search. Yeah, I just add a picture-in-picture one. Picture in picture. Opened via, and then closed via our opened method, closed method. And this is, what did you say? Scalar keyed. So they're keyed. Keyed scalars. I think I need to read up on keyed scalars. Telemetry, keyed scalars. Scale probes can manage through that. Scale probes and privilege apps manipulate add, set, scalar add, scalar set. Register if you're using a JS API. Boolean that determines whether it's a keyed scalar. Okay. Keyed scalars are collections of unit or Boolean scalar types indexed by a string key that can contain UTF-8 characters and cannot be longer than 72 characters. Keyed scalars can contain up to 100 keys. No string counts by name, like how often search happens with which search engine. String scalars. Okay. Was activated per input type. This is kind of exactly what we want. Oh, is there like just a UI? There isn't. Download button. example, just an example. Okay. Keyed notifications. So this is effectively what we want. So bug numbers. The bug number is 1560590. Description. Sorry, it's got to go back. Description. Just kind of copying the format from above. The number of times count of the mechanism, no. The number of times a picture-in-picture window was opened per what would you call this? Per trigger mechanism. Example, the video toggle, context menu. Expires. Now, when did I set my other histogram to expire? 74. So let's do that one. Expires in 74. Kind, unsigned int, keyed, yep. Notification, emails. So I'll get one. Adam Stevenson will get one. And release channel collection. The form of scalar submitted by default on pre-release channels unless the user is opted out. Okay. So opt in. Record in processes. Main operating systems. We do want to restrict this to Windows. For now. And then you want the exact same thing for the close method. Number of times was closed. Example. Close button, the unpip button. Shut down. How can we even detect that? It's gonna be a pain to detect. Originating tab going away. Process shut down. Okay. Okay. So that adds those. Let's take care of the opened method first. Let's build this. Build with default. Build. Okay, so that's done. We're gonna now build. Make sure this builds. This is back on my Linux machine. sure that builds okay. It's checking for a whole bunch of stuff. Looks like it's going to be all right. Okay. Next. Oh, it doesn't like it. Category name must be alphanumeric. It did not like the underscores in picture-in-picture. I guess I'll just call it picture-in-picture then, without the underscores. Okay, so that build's going okay. All that stuff's getting built. Now, how to use it. Let's find an example of a keyed probe, scalar probe, search query. Preferences, search query. Keyed scalar add. Aha. So we can use this same mechanism. So opening, picture-in-picture child. How do we want to do this? Via context menu. So whenever the parent, via the context menu, what happens? We send a media command. Maybe we can send a detail. Oh, we can know it. The content process knows it. I think. Yeah. Content process knows it. So that's actually something, before I was saying that we should record this in the parent process, but I think we want to record this in the child process. Recording processes, content. Main, what's an example of content? Okay, so this one we have to record in the content process. And the way we do that is by, well, let's do the context menu one first. Context menu, child, picture, here. We're going to say picture-in-picture opened method context menu. We're going to add 1. And then the other one we're going to say via picture-in-picture and child via the toggle dispatch event on pointer down going to say via the toggle. Those are really the only two ways of doing it. Is via the toggle or the context menu. There's no other way right now of doing it. Let's take a look. Oh man, now it's rebuilding everything. Arrgh. Don't rebuild everything. I just updated scalars. Don't rebuild everything. It's gonna be boring. I'm building everywhere. Well, while we're waiting for this to build, let's do something useful. Let us see if we can review any patches. Okay. So here's a patch that was written yesterday. I reviewed it, and it's about making it so that the date time picker can work outside of Firefox. They want to use it inside of, I think, Thunderbird. And that makes sense. Provides a node to hang pop-ups such as the daytime picker from. If this browser isn't the descendant of a stack, null is returned instead, and pop-up code must handle this case. Okay. If not, this anchor, no popping of this browser cannot show date picker. Okay. That is what I suggested. So I'm actually pretty happy with this. You know, it gives the Thunderbird devs what they need. But effectively what happens is we move this like pop-up anchor thing out of tab browser and into the browser element, like the custom element binding for the browser node. And then we check to see, because Thunderbird doesn't have a notion of a G browser. And then this is what's going to be running inside of Thunderbird, and it'll say like get the pop-up anchor. Like this runs for both Firefox and Thunderbird. It'll get the pop-up anchor from the browser, and that means that Thunderbird needs to like implement the stuff necessary in order for this to work. Effectively put the browser underneath a stack. So that makes sense to me. Okay. I'm going to approve this based on my review from yesterday and today. Oh, I should have said thank you. Say thanks. There. Something else was in my review queue. While we wait for these long builds. Support wildcard on about config. Interesting. Says the usability regression for preference and stop makes new about configs give results in the latest chunk shows the appropriate 3 settings of 6. A regular expression that should be matched to the preference name. So this is like the filter to determine whether or not to show a preference. So if there is a filter pattern, and that includes, okay. G filter string equals search to lowercase replace. So the first thing he does is whenever, where are we in this? when we're filtering the search name, we lower it all and then we replace star or stars at the beginning or stars at the end. One or more stars at the end. We're going to basically stripping stars at the beginning of stars at the end. Because that's not necessary. You're because one of the things we're going to do is we're going to check to see if the name includes the filter string. So you don't need stars at the beginning or the end. That makes sense. Can you add a comment about why we're stripping the stars from the start and end? Essentially, because we're already checking if the string exists within the filter string in each pref name. And then we make sure to reset gfilter pattern. If it includes star, then we create a new regular expression. We're going to replace star, any stars, with dot star. Trying to remember my regex syntax here. Regex JavaScript. What's that second argument? I think the G stands for global. Where's the constructor? Flags. Ignore case. Okay, that's what he's saying. Ignore the case. So we replace any stars with dot star. That makes sense. And then the filter string, we blank it out. Okay. About config with new tab. Test dot about. 3 wildcard in the middle. I like that he added tests. This is very nice. This all makes a perfect sense to me. Like, I think I really like this. So effectively, that will give us back yeah, wildcards in the filters for about config. This is great. Let's take a look at the try push that Piro did. Where do we find it? That's the thing I wish I had. Is something that just tell me which one of these has the test that I care about. Config. Test search wildcard. Test unexpected fail. So yeah, there's some testing failures here. So this looks okay, but there are a number of test failures. Let's get these copied out. Code looks good. A raw log in a new window. Hi, what should I call Yuki? Yuki. Thanks for the patch. This looks great. I'm super glad to see you added test 2. Your second try push is reporting failures in your newly added test. Any idea what's going wrong? I'm going to request changes on the patch until I hear back. Changes on the patch until we can get this figured out. This looks great. However, your latest try push shows your test failing, at least on Mac OS. What was it? Mac OS shippable, opt shippable. Was it failing anywhere else? Oh yeah, and Windows 10. And anywhere else? That's it. You didn't really run any tests on Linux, so this is failing on both Mac OS and Windows. Any idea what's going wrong there? Maybe let's take a quick peek. There'd be a screenshot as well of the failure. Interesting. It's showing that like the "Here be dragons" message. Wonder if that's intentional. At any rate, requesting changes. Okay, how are we doing build-wise? I think we're stuck. All right. Well, in that case, I'm gonna call it here. Not my favorite way to end a stream with builds a running. I didn't expect writing to scalar.yaml to basically invalidate all of the building I'd already done today. You would think as well that I'd be like hitting my cache a lot, but I'm missing the cache like crazy. That's brutal. I'm not hitting the cache at all. Why? So this build's gonna take a while. Superb. Well, thankfully I put both scalars.yaml changes in at once. And then, you know, fingers crossed that I can figure out how to, maybe that's what we'll do for the last 5 minutes. Try and think through how we're gonna measure how the mechanisms with which the picture-in-picture window is closed. So there are a couple of obvious ones. We can add event listeners, like the event listener on the unpip button and the close button. We could instrument. And then in the event that we are closing because of a re-request, that's another one. And then in the event that the originating content is requested, that this picture-in-picture will go away. So hang on a second, picture-in-picture child. Whenever, if the node ever goes away, what do we do? originating video. Track originating video. Yeah, page hide. We listen for the page hide event. We close picture in picture. Page hide, we say close picture in picture. So maybe we can pass a reason to the parent process. In that case. Okay, that's probably what we'll do. So we actually finished our build here. That's great. So now if I do mock run, do I get access to the scalars in about telemetry? I hope so. Scalars, great. Let's go to YouTube and we're gonna wait for this advertisement to finish for some kind of vodka thing in Ontario. All right, gonna click on that. Gonna click on that. I'm gonna pause this. I'm gonna refresh. Let's see here. Picture in picture, is that anywhere in here? Parent process. Oh, it'd be in the content process, right? Didn't I say it would be in the content process? I did. So where is it? Scalars, content. Huh, that's not working. Why not? Picture in picture, child, telemetry. What the? Where's the telemetry I added? Scalar? Yeah, scalar. Picture in picture opened method. So like if I run that from the console toolbox, toggle. Services is not defined, but in here I'll bet you services is defined, yeah. So I just have to like import it, Chrome utils, import services. So that was less of a problem with that my code, more with my running in this console here, and then GRE modules services. Come on, man. Services equals dot services. Okay. So let's run it again. So I've added a bunch of the toggle, and it's not showing up. Why not? Sync, pre-account, main. Is it in the raw JSON? Oh, it is. It's in the keyed scalars. So it is being recorded. It's just not being displayed. Oh, keyed scalars. Of course, that's where I had to look. Okay, great. So that's being recorded. And then let's add a context menu one here. Keyed scalars, content process, picture in picture, context menu. Great. That's what I wanted to see. Picture in picture opened method. And then the closed method. Maybe we can wire that up really quickly. Yeah, Smurf D caught the end. And yes, keyed scalars, that ended up being the thing. Smurf D, you're the best. So for the close one in picture-in-picture child, I'm going to send the reason for requesting the close up to the parent. That's my plan. Close picture in picture. So reason page hide. Toggle. If we're already toggling, then we're toggling again via reason. Context menu. It'd have to be via the context menu here. For here, it's await, close, picture, reason. The only way we could have requested entered here for the same video is if we are toggling via the context menu. Since we hide the embedded the inline toggle inline picture-in-picture toggle when a video is being displayed in picture-in-picture. Okay, and then reason over here will be new pip. Creating a new pip. We're closing because we're creating a new picture-in-picture window. And then reason. So we want to make sure every time we close, it's given a reason. Here's another one. If no originating video, reason, setup failure. Or yeah, setup failure, that's right. So all of them now pass in a reason. Okay, and then that reason is passed up to the parent via this message, and then let reason equals message, a message dot data dot reason reason. I don't know why I passed it via an object back in context. Or where was it? Picture-in-picture child. Maybe I didn't need to do that. It doesn't have to be an object. Maybe it's because it makes it easier to know why we're passing something in. Because you have to give it a name, the reason. Okay, that's my defense of that. And then by the time it reaches here, you know that it's a reason. You know, you're just dealing with this abstract reason. Close. So if we get here, we're gonna say that we're closing for a reason. Close method. Is that scalars? Closed method. And this one, yeah, we have to record that main. So it's closed method. Closed method. Reason. so if you're here, handle picture-in-picture request, there's a pre-existing picture-in-picture. What is the... we're closing one. Close pip window. So context menu. Sorry, picture-in-picture child. Where is it? 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 Close picture-in-picture. Reason. Setup failure. Page hide. Context menu. New pip. Okay. So actually, I want to make this one use an object as well. New pip. Close pip window. Focus tab and close pip. Reason unpip. Pip window. Close pip window, and we're going to pass in the reason like this. It's going to be a reason, and then for player.js, close. What we're going to do instead is we're going to say picture-in-picture dot close, what was it? Close pip window. Close button. And then browser crash. Okay. All right. So now we've got all these different ways that we can close, and let's see if we can get some of them recorded. Let's just test one or two, and then I'll call the episode. Burger. I love binging with Babish. I also, this is Grammarly, and we're going to close via the close button. So now let's go to About Telemetry. Let's look at the keyed scalars. The close method was via the close button. Great. And what about this one? Close method was via the unpip button. And then how about if I close via closing the tab? Close via page hide. Great. That's working. That's really great. Okay. Cool. Well, I'm going to call it here. Thank you so much for watching episode 180 of The Joy of Coding. Thanks for being here. I hope that was interesting. Covered a lot of ground. I was able to work around a lot of the time for building. This is finally done. Maybe I'll be able to answer Abdulay's question or like go deeper into why the UA widget event was still being dispatched to the content frame message manager. But I will do that elsewhere, and if you're curious, I'll probably write up why in that bug, which, you know what, let me put a link to that bug. UA widget update time picker. So if you're curious about why the UA widget changed, what is it, UA widget setup or change event is being fired, I'm going to write about it in here. So let me update the agenda. That's here. Whoops. This is where I'm going to add an update once I have it. And let me say that. Hey, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Hit that bell. Crush that subscribe button. Whatever. And specifically, crush this rate this episode link. Just smash it. Like, crunch it. And let me know what you thought of this episode. Because I read all of the feedback that comes in, and I want to know what you think, what I can do to make the stream better. Maybe it'd be better, for example, I noticed that there are some streamers that have, like, the chat alongside the stream. So like if you're watching, so see where I'm in the video right now, I'm in this like little box down here in the corner. How's box? I'm in a box here. And then like I could partition the screen so that above me there's like the chat. You know, if I can get us all into one chat room, and then like you could see the chat going on, though we'd probably need some moderation. But would that be interesting? Let me know by rating the episode. Just smash that rate that episode link and let me know what you thought. Okay, I'm going to call it here. Thanks again for watching episode 180. And I will see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye. See ya.